Exposed. A strand of hair revealed her millionaire husband's affair. Her incredible response changed everything. Laura had always prided herself on being the heart of their small, Midwestern town, a devoted elementary teacher, a loving mother of two, the one everyone leaned on in times of need. One fateful afternoon, amidst the scent of freshly baked cookies and the cheerful chatter of her children, she discovered a single, golden strand of hair clinging to Micah's jacket. Panic clutched her chest. This wasn't just any hair. It was the color of honey, vibrant and unmistakably foreign. As her world tilted on its axis, the shock became a palpable weight. Somewhere across the river, in the mansion-laden enclave of the elite, Mike's heart had strayed into dangerous territory. She couldn't breathe. This hair was more than just a strand. It was a shattering revelation. Betrayal raged within her as memories of their years together flashed in her mind. His laughter, their late-night talks, the dreams they had built together. How could he do this? As she confronted him, his denial cut deeper than any knife. How could the man she loved, the father of her children, dismiss her pain so easily? "It doesn't mean anything," he said, looking away, and each word struck her like a punch. But in this whirlwind of anguish, something beautiful began to stir. Her neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, with her well-worn gardening gloves, showed up with a casserole. "You're stronger than you know, honey," she said, squeezing Laura's shoulder. Before she realized it, other friends joined in, each one bringing food, comfort, and a shoulder to lean on. Together, they painted the grayness of betrayal with hues of resilience. With every shared laugh and tear, Laura felt a flicker of strength within her, igniting a spark. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, channeling confusion and heartache into action. Laura developed an after-school program aimed at teaching life skills to underprivileged children. Each session turned into a sanctuary for her sorrow, as the laughter of children bounced off the walls, slowly mending her broken heart. The program became a beloved staple in the community, earning her respect and admiration from parents and teachers alike. Just when she thought she had found her footing, fate had other plans. At a local charity event, where her program was celebrated, the walls closed in. She spotted Mike across the room, arm in arm with his glamorous mistress, the very symbol of wealth and privilege that had invaded their lives. Emotions surged, a mix of anger and hurt. A single glance, and the air crackled with unresolved tension. As the evening unfolded, it became more than just a confrontation with Mike. It was a confrontation with the ideals that had kept her captive. Standing firm, she defended the immeasurable worth of her work, the impact it made. The onlookers fell silent, breaths held, as she stood proud and unwavering. Did they truly understand the value of community? In that moment, Laura realized that real wealth wasn't defined by wallets or status. It was forged in character, kindness, and fortitude. And just as the crowd began to part, revealing unexpected eyes from her past, her heart raced. Could it be? Would this reunion challenge everything she's built since leaving the past behind? The unfolding storm left her shivering with anticipation, preparing for a confrontation that would change her life forever. The crowd shifted as Laura's gaze locked onto a familiar face emerging from the throng. It was Jake Thompson, her high school sweetheart, the one who had left town for a big city job, and the one Laura had never truly forgotten. The years fell away, and suddenly, she was that young girl again, filled with hope and dreams, standing in front of him, heart racing. "Laura?" His voice was warm, wrapping around her like a soft blanket, a stark contrast to the chill of her current reality. Deep lines of worry crossed his forehead as he scrutinized her face. "Yes, it's me," she replied, though a part of her felt like she was looking into a mirror of another life. How could he show up now when everything was spiraling out of control? The moment was bittersweet. Memories flooded in, and yet, she laughed harshly at the irony. Here she was, exposing her shattered marriage, and he was back, like a ghost from happier times. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern sharpening his features. As if he could sense the turmoil she was navigating, her heart pounded, caught between resignation and the familiar flutter of feelings. "I will be," she said, lifting her chin. "I'm starting to find a new path." "Good," he nodded, his expression softening. "I always believed you were meant for something bigger." The sincerity in his words caught her off guard. It was easy to fall back into the rhythm of their connection, even with Mike lingering in the same room. But the atmosphere grew heavy, tightening around her. Mike's figure loomed like a shadow at the edge of her awareness. She caught sight of him, striding toward her and Jake, his jaw clenched. "This is quite the scene, I senti it?" he said, with a derisive laugh that dripped with disdain. "A walk down memory lane for everyone, I see." Laura could feel the judgment emanating from him, and anger flared within her. "What do you want, Mike?" she shot back, keeping her gaze steady. "More false reassurances?" "I just came to check if you were still alive in the middle of this spectacle," he retorted, an edge of menace shimmering beneath his words. It was clear he didn't care about her well-being. It was about control, and she refused to give him that luxury any longer. "Enough!" Jake intervened, stepping closer to Laura, his voice low but firm. "You don't get to treat her like this, Mike. She's stronger than you think." Laura felt a surge of warmth at Jake's words. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't just the injured party. She was being defended. This simple act sparked a rush of emotion, a blend of gratitude and empowerment. Mike's irritation flashed across his face, and for a moment, Laura thought he might lash out. But instead he laughed sharply, backing away. "You think you're safe now, don't you?" He glanced at Jake, then back at Laura. "But I'll always be watching, always in your way." As he turned to leave, a chill crept through Laura's veins. What had she awakened? "Laura?" Jake's voice broke through her thoughts. "You deserve so much better than this." And just like that, a new chapter began to unfurl before her. There was something about Jake that awakened her dormant ambitions. "Let us get out of here," he said, his kindness offering an escape. It felt like reaching for a lifeline thrown into the turbulent waters of her world. "Really?" she asked with a tremor of hope in her voice. He smiled, genuine and warm. "Yeah. There's a lot you have yet to explore, and I'd love to help you rediscover it." As they walked away from the event, hand in hand, Laura felt a rush of excitement mixed with worry. Could she open her heart again? Was she ready for this new possibility? Or would her past overshadow the future? With every step, the questions weighed heavily on her mind, leaving her vulnerable but eager, poised for a transformation she couldn't yet fully grasp. What awaited her at the end of this path of self-discovery? Would she embrace the chance to chase her dreams once more? As they made their way through the crowd, the noise of the gala faded into the background. Laura felt the warmth of Jake's hand in hers, a lifeline amidst the confusion clenching her heart. She looked up at him, and for the first time in years, her heart didn't feel encased in ice. "Where are we going?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake turned his head, his smile still contagious. "Somewhere we can breathe. There's a little cafe nearby. I know the owner, and they make the best coffee in town." The simpler the moment, the more her heart raced. She had shared so many of those low-key moments with him as a teenager. All the late-night talks over fries and milkshakes, every laugh, every dream spun into the air between them felt alive again as they left the venue. Laura glanced back one last time, half expecting to see Mike waiting, lurking like a storm cloud. But he was gone, and a weight lifted from her shoulders. The cafe was cozy, filled with warm colors and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wrapping around them like a hug. They found a table by the window, its glass lightly fogged from the difference in temperature. Laura couldn't focus on the atmosphere, though. She was still processing everything that had just happened. Jake leaned in, his eyes focused on her, earnest. "I don't want to pry, but I can see you've been through a lot." You can share whatever you feel comfortable with. Laura took a deep breath. There was something about his presence that made her feel safe. It's just everything feels so out of control. He has been harsh lately, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. I thought I could handle it. Put on a brave face, but tears threatened to spill, and she quickly blinked them away. But you know that isn't me. I've always wanted to be strong, but now I'm not so sure. Strength isn't about never feeling broken. It's about knowing when to hold on and when to let go, Jake offered softly. And you've already taken a huge step by coming here tonight. His words resonated deeper than she expected, sending ripples through her soul. Maybe she could still be strong but redefined. Maybe breaking away from the past didn't mean she was weak. Maybe it meant she was becoming something new. Jake, thank you for being here, she said, her voice steadier now. I didn't think I'd ever see you again, let alone talk like this. Life has strange ways of bringing people back together, he said, a spark of mischief in his gaze. Let us not waste it. Suddenly, a scuffle outside broke her reverie. Startled, Laura turned her head toward the noise. Shadows passed the cafe window, and the sight of familiar figures made her heart drop. It was Mike, his face twisted in anger. He was on the phone, gesticulating wildly. Laura, he shouted through the glass, his expression a mix of fury and something darker. Panic washed over her. Jake, stay calm, he urged, his grip tightening on her hand. Just breathe. But could she? The storm brewing in her heart shouted that this was not the safe moment she craved. It was reality crashing in, and the aftermath of confronting her past felt like it could explode any second. Is this what you want? She said, her voice trembling with uncertainty. To go back to that chaos? Jake searched her eyes, determination pooling in his. No, Laura. It's about going forward. You have the power to choose even now. With Mike pacing outside, his presence racing back into her life like a runaway train, Laura realized something vital. Her decision was at hand. Could she choose healing over fear? Did she have the courage to face the chaos and step into something new? As the door swung open and Mike stepped inside, the challenge hung thick in the air. Would she rise to meet it or shrink back? And with that, the next step awaited her, teetering on the edge of a new beginning or the shadow of the past. The door swung shut behind Mike, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the close confines of the cafe. All around, eyes flicked toward them. But Laura's vision narrowed to the man who had just entered, the man who had shadowed her life far too long. Laura. Mike stepped forward, his voice harsh and grating. What the hell are you doing here? For a heartbeat, time stood still. Laura's heart thundered in her chest. Beneath the table, Jake's hand held hers tightly, emboldening her but also reminding her of the fragile nature of the moment. I'm having coffee, Mike, she said, forcing her voice to remain steady, just like anyone else. He scoffed, his eyes narrowing. With him, his gaze flicked to Jake, and Laura felt the heat of Mike's anger radiate like a palpable storm. Seriously? You think you can just run away with him? Jake stood, instinctively stepping protectively in front of Laura, his body tense. You need to calm down, he said, his voice firm but low. This isn't the place for this. But Mike wasn't listening. He looked past Jake, his fury laser-focused on Laura. I know what you're doing. You think you can just erase everything? Our life? Me? Mike. This isn't about erasing anyone. Laura shot back, the well of frustration spilling over. This is about me trying to find my own way after everything you've put me through. Gasps erupted around them, whispers trailing like smoke. Laura felt every eye watching, every breath holding. The tension in the cafe was thick enough to slice through, but a part of her welcomed it, the sense of power rising with each word spoken against Mike's accusations. Find your way? Is that what you call this? He said, arms flailing in disbelief. Running off to hide in a coffee shop with some washed-up loser? A sharp breath caught in her throat, but she steadied herself. Jake is not a loser, and you know it. He has always been here even when you haven't been. Jake's eyes darted toward her, a flicker of surprise passing over his face. She realized then that she'd spoken the unvarnished truth. and it filled her with a surge of confidence amidst the chaos that usually enveloped her life with Mike. Enough! Jake intervened, moving closer to Laura. This isn't just about you, Mike. You need to step back. But Mike laughed, a derisive sound that made Laura's stomach flip. Step back? You think you can just take her from me? I won't let that happen. The words sent chills down her spine. The fight in her faded momentarily. Did he still think he owned her? The realization that Mike still felt so entitled to her sparked an anger she had long stifled. I'm not property, she said, raising her voice so it cut through the air. I'm a person, and I will not let you dictate my life anymore. The cafe held its breath, and for the first time, she felt people rallying behind her. A group of patrons sat still, the weight of her words hanging thick around them. Through the glass, the sunset cast a golden hue inside, bathing the moment in warmth even as tension crackled. Mike's expression shifted from rage to something colder, sharper, a hint of desperation. You think you can just leave me? You'll regret this, he said, throwing a dark promise into the air. The warm glow in the cafe felt like a sunset on something dying. Laura took a breath, forcing herself to meet Mike's gaze. I'm already beyond regret. With that, Laura gripped Jake's hand tighter, a silent message passing between them. They were in this together, even when the chaos spiraled. Would they stand together against the storm, or would Mike find a way to pull her back into the shadows? As Mike's anger threatened to spill over, something new dawned in her, a stirring sense of resolve. She felt ready to confront whatever he had planned next. And deep down, the hope flickered, whispering that she could fight and win. Just then, the cafe door swung open once more, and a new figure entered, a woman dressed in all black, her expression unreadable. Laura's heart stuttered, the weight of the unknown pressing down hard. What secrets had this woman brought along? Would it change everything she had just fought for? The newcomer froze as she entered, her dark attire contrasting sharply with the cozy warmth of the cafe. She scanned the room, her eyes landing on Laura, then flickering briefly to Mike, who had not yet taken his eyes off Laura. The weight of her presence shifted the air, thickening the tension like a brewing storm. What do you want? Mike barked, irritation rolling off him in waves. The woman held her ground, unfazed by his aggression. Are you Laura? She asked, her voice calm, almost soothing. Laura's heart raced as she nodded, the unease settling in her stomach. Yeah, that's me. Who are you? I'm here because of Mike, the woman replied, her gaze steady. I need to talk to you and it can't wait. Laura exchanged a quick glance with Jake. She felt his presence beside her, grounding, but the air crackled with uncertainty. About what? Laura demanded, her voice steadying. What could you possibly have to say that involves him? The woman shifted slightly, as if contemplating her next move. I know he has been less than truthful with you. Lies, secrets, they're all he has ever done. The words hung in the air like smoke. Laura's pulse quickened. Could this woman hold clues to the mysteries that surrounded her life with Mike? But apprehension clawed at her. What do you mean? Mike stepped forward, his frustration boiling over. This is ridiculous. You don't know what you're talking about. She ignored him, focusing solely on Laura. I found something, the truth about who he really is. About what he has been doing behind your back. Stop, Mike warned, voice low and dangerous, but the woman pressed on. I can't keep quiet anymore, she said, the urgency in her tone rising. He is not who you think he is. His charm is just a mask. Laura's mind raced. All the times Mike had vanished without explanation, the little lies that didn't add up. Was this woman telling the truth? Why should I trust you? Laura asked, crossing her arms defensively. The woman's expression softened. Because I was like you once. I believed his lies. I learned the hard way that there's more beneath the surface than you can see. Tension flared between them, an electric charge. But beneath it, Laura felt something else, a flicker of hope. Maybe this was the chance she had been waiting for, to pull back the curtain on her life with Mike and unveil his true self. Laura, Mike warned, his voice thick with anger. You can't seriously think I would do anything to hurt you. I love you. Do you? She shot back, her heart pounding. How could you love me if you've been lying? The woman interjected, looking directly at Mike. Remember who you're really dealing with. The truth has a way of coming out, and it often strips away more than just facades. Those words lingered like an echo in Laura's mind. What could be waiting behind the lies? The fear mixed with curiosity was gripping. Tell me everything, Laura said, her voice quiet yet determined. Every detail you have. Mike let out a frustrated growl, stepping closer. You don't want to do this. She's playing mind games with you, Laura. Or maybe she's the only one shedding light on all your darkness. Jake squeezed her hand, lending her strength. Laura felt herself igniting with a new resolve, ready to face whatever came next. The very shadows that had haunted her were starting to reveal themselves as the woman hesitated. Looking between them, Laura sensed that the storm was only beginning. The heavy weight of Micah's presence bore down on her, and she could taste the possibility of liberation. But just then, another sound cut through the tension like a distant siren on the horizon. The ringing of a phone shattered the silence. Whose phone rang? And what awaited them on the other end of that call? The phone's ringing echoed through the cafe, jolting everyone from their intense confrontation. Laura could hardly breathe as her gaze darted around, searching for the source of that disruptive sound. Was it Mike's phone? Or perhaps the mysterious woman? Mike fumbled in his pocket, his expression momentarily betraying his anxiety before he yanked his phone out and silenced it. But not before Laura caught a glimpse of dread in his eyes. The woman, however, seemed unfazed, her attention still focused solely on Laura. Please, this is important, the woman urged, urgency lacing her calm demeanor. I know what he's been hiding. We can't let him control this narrative anymore. The room felt suffocating. The cafe's warmth had shifted to an unsettling chill as whispers of other patrons floated around them, muffled by the intensity of the moment. Jake's grip on Laura's hand tightened, offering silent support as uncertainty swirled like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. Just tell me, Laura urged, her voice shaking. What do you know? But before the woman could respond, Mike interjected, his frustration spilling over. You don't need to listen to her. She's a stranger with an agenda or the truth. The woman shot back, her voice rising slightly. You've spun your web of lies long enough, Mike. It's time your little world fell apart. Laura's heart raced, caught between the two sides. Everything she thought she knew about Mike was crumbling. Memories of their perfect date nights flashed through her mind, tainted now by doubts. She studied Mike's expression, a mix of anger, fear, and what appeared to be desperation. The woman took a hesitant step closer. I can show you proof, evidence of his betrayal. It's not just me. There are others. Others? Laura whispered, her breath hitching at the thought. How many others? What are you talking about? The cafe grew eerily quiet as the patrons nearby sensed the rising stakes. Glasses clinked softly as people walked toward the exit, casting curious glances at the brewing confrontation. Then, as if responding to Laura's rising dread, Mike's phone chimed again, breaking the silence. But what startled her the most was the look of panic that surged across his face when he glanced at the screen. Laura, don't listen to her, he pleaded, the urgency in his voice unmistakable. I made mistakes, but I love you. Just give me a chance to explain. The woman shook her head slowly, her eyes filled with a blend of sorrow and resolve. He's good at sweet-talking you, but love shouldn't be built on deceit. You deserve someone who will be honest. Laura took a shaky breath as her world spun. Could Mike truly be hiding more than she realized? The woman's words mixed with Mike's pleading rang out in her ears, each fighting for dominance. And what if the proof actually existed? What if the truth was more horrifying than she could imagine? She felt the walls of her reality begin to close in around her, the weight of the decisions before her pressing down harder than ever. Mike, she whispered, her voice barely a tremor. What have you done? Suddenly, the mysterious woman's phone buzzed insistently in her hand, drawing both their attention. It's Ashley, she said, glancing at the screen. She can confirm everything. Laura's heart dropped. Who was Ashley? And what other secrets were waiting to unravel? What is this about? Laura demanded, energy crackling in the air, as both men and women in the cafe turned to witness the storm that was brewing. Jake whispered in her ear, "Whatever it is, you have the right to know. Don't back down." The woman nodded, her demeanor shifting to one of determination. "You must see the truth before it's too late." The tension in the room thickened as Laura faced a pivotal choice, one that could change everything forever. How far was she willing to go to uncover the truth? As the cafe door swung open to let in a gust of wind, Laura felt the moment stretch. Was she ready to let in the chaos that lurked behind the veneer of her life? Because with every truth revealed, a new storm was on the horizon, and she was standing at the eye of it. What awaited her on the other side? Laura's heart raced as she stared at the woman, whose name was still unknown, but the urgency in her voice echoed like an alarm in her mind. The cafe felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. The weight of her choices pressed down on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. "Who is Ashley?" she asked, her voice trembling. She glanced at Mike, searching his face for any sign of the man she thought she knew, but all she found was an unsettling mix of pleading and fear. The woman took a deep breath, as if gathering strength. "Ashley is someone who has been tracking Mike's lies. She has proof of his infidelity, and it's not just a fling. It's been going on for months." "No," Mike shouted, his protest splintering the tense silence. "That's not true. This is insane." The woman fixed her gaze on Mike. "Is it insane, or is it reality? You can keep up this charade, but the truth always surfaces. Laura deserves to know." Jake leaned closer to Laura, his reassuring presence calming some of the storm inside her. "You can't let him manipulate you any longer. Trust your gut." But Laura's gut was twisting wildly, caught between love and betrayal. She felt as though she was standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into an abyss. "If what you're saying is true, why should I believe you?" She looked back at the woman, desperation and doubt rewriting the narrative in her head. "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important," the woman insisted, her voice steady. "You have a right to know what's happening behind the scenes. Mike hasn't just disrespected you. He has put you in danger." "Danger?" Laura echoed, her heart pounding. What could that possibly mean? The thought sent chills down her spine. Mike's expression darkened, and he stepped forward. "Fine. If you want proof, I'll show you I'm innocent. This is just a nasty ploy to get into your head." But the woman interjected, her tone softening. "You don't understand, Mike. The truth is bigger than both of us. Laura, I can't show you everything in this cafe, but I promise that whatever happens next will begin to unravel the lies." Laura felt her chest tighten as the gravity of their situation settled. "What do you mean? What kind of lies? This isn't just about you and him. There are lives involved that you don't even know about," the woman replied, her eyes reflecting a mixture of compassion and urgency. "There are people who've been hurt by Mike, and they need justice." Mike's bravado cracked. "You're playing a dangerous game. Just stop," he pleaded, the facade of confidence slipping. Laura could feel the tension shifting. A whirlwind of emotions surged within her. Adrenaline coursed through her veins as she realized they were standing on shaky ground filled with buried secrets. "Wait, if Ashley can confirm this, then can you bring her here?" Laura asked, desperate for a definitive answer to the chaos swirling around her. "I want to hear it for myself." The woman's expression softened, and she nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of the moment. "I can call her. But once you hear it, there may be no going back." "What do you mean?" Laura's voice was almost a whisper, unsure of the decision she was making. The woman turned, her fingers moving swiftly over her phone screen. "Just brace yourself. What follows next will alter everything you believe." As anticipation hummed in the air, Laura felt a spark of determination. She couldn't stand still, not anymore. The truth was waiting, and she was ready to confront whatever shadows lurked in the corners of her life. The cafe door swung open again, this time allowing in not just wind but the palpable tension of unknown destinies colliding. "It's time for clarity, isn't it?" she whispered to herself, determination layering her soul. What awaited her as Ashley stepped into the dim light? And would it shatter the facade Mike had built? Would she be ready for the revelations to come? The bell on the cafe door chimed as Ashley stepped inside, bringing with her an electric current that seemed to pulse through the room. Laura's heart stopped for just a moment, her breath hitching in her throat. Willing herself to stay composed, she observed Ashley, tall, confident, with a sharp gaze that swept across the cafe. There was something unsettling yet magnetic about her presence. The woman who had summoned Ashley gestured, urging her to join them. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice laced with urgency. Mike's face paled as he turned to look at Ashley, his eyes flickering with a mix of anger and fear. "You didn't have to do this," he warned, taking a step back, as if trying to distance himself from the chaos unfolding. Ashley met his glare without flinching. "I'm here for Laura, not you," she declared, her voice steady and unwavering. Laura finally found her voice, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "Are you the Ashley? The one involved with Mike?" Each syllable felt heavy. She braced herself for the answer, knowing it could break her. "Yes," Ashley replied, her eyes softening as she turned to Laura. "But it's more complicated than that. I didn't come to hurt you. I want you to know the truth." Laura's insides twisted painfully. Mike's desperate, pleading eyes lingered on her, but all she felt was a surge of unresolved questions. What could possibly be more complicated than cheating? Ashley took a deep breath. "I never intended to get involved with him. It started as a mistake, one that spiraled into something I never wanted." "You call it a mistake?" Mike spat, his frustration bubbling over. "This isn't about you. It's about Laura's trust. You're just as guilty." Ashley's eyes narrowed at Mike, but she continued. "I know I'm culpable, but my story is intertwined with more than just moments of weakness. There are people behind this who deserve to be named." Jake watched, supportive yet cautious, aware that emotions were about to explode. Laura's heart felt like it was being squeezed. "What do you mean? Who else is involved?" Before Ashley could respond, the woman with the urgent voice interjected. "It's not just Mike's infidelity. He has been deceiving many others too. There's a business deal gone wrong that puts lives at stake. You need to understand the full magnitude of what he has done." Mike clenched his fists, his frustration radiating. "Enough! This is bullshit," he shouted, his voice reverberating in the cafe. "Is it?" Ashley countered, shifting her gaze to Mike. "People are hurt, connected to this mess. Laura deserves to know the truth, and you need to own up to your actions." The air thickened with tension as Laura absorbed the weight of the revelations. Ashley was just as much a part of the web of lies, yet there was something more lurking beneath her polished surface. "I want to hear everything," Laura said, surprising even herself with the firmness in her voice. "No more half-truths. I need to know how deep this goes." Silence enveloped them, a pregnant pause filled with unspoken fears and revelations. Ashley nodded, her jaw set with determination. "Then let us uncover it together. You deserve to know what kind of man Mike is." Laura felt adrenaline spike within her. Steeling herself, she turned to Mike. "Are you ready for this? Will you finally reveal everything? Or will you continue to let the lies consume us all?" In that moment, Laura realized she was standing at a pivotal crossroads. The black and white world she once knew was cracking apart, and she was ready to step into the gray. But as she faced Mike, she couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. What other secrets lay hidden in the shadows? And how would the truth change everything she thought she knew about love, trust, and betrayal? Laura's hands trembled as she faced Mike, her pulse hammering in her ears. The air felt charged, heavy with anticipation. She was no longer the naive partner who trusted blindly. This was a different woman standing here, ready to dig into the painful truths hidden beneath layers of deceit. "Please, just tell me," she urged, her voice shaking but resolute. "What aren't you saying? We can't move forward until we peel back these lies." Mike's jaw clenched. The fight drained from his face, and he cast a furtive glance at Ashley, who stood resolutely beside Laura. It was clear he was looking for an out, a way to shift the blame. You don't understand, Laura. It's not as black and white as it seems. Ashley stepped closer, her presence like a sudden steel wall. Then make it simple, Mike. You owe her that much. Laura deserves a clean slate, not more deception. Mike swallowed hard, a pitiful attempt to regain some control as he shifted in his seat. A bead of sweat formed on his brow. I messed up. Okay. But the deal I was working on it involved a lot more than just personal relationships. People's livelihoods are at stake. Laura's heart twisted painfully at his admission. So that's why you took the easy way out? Because you thought lying was the solution? Her voice rose, filled with disbelief. You didn't just betray me. You played with lives, Mike. Silence punctuated her words, thick and suffocating. As the cafe buzzed around them, the usual clinking of cups faded into the background. It felt like the world had narrowed down to this chaotic table, and each second dragged, weighing heavily on her shoulders. Laura, Mike's voice sliced through the tension, faint yet carrying a hint of desperation. I thought I was protecting you. If you knew everything about my business, you would be panicked. There are forces involved here, people who won't hesitate to take drastic measures. Protecting me? Laura laughed harshly. By lying and breaking every promise you made? You think you were keeping me safe? Ashley watched with fierce intensity, her expression a mixture of pity and resolve. Laura turned slightly, noticing a flicker of understanding in her eyes. Ashley had lived through her own brand of chaos, and here she was, facing the storm alongside Laura. Tell her, Mike, you've given her enough pain. Now give her the truth, Ashley coaxed gently, her voice surprisingly tender. Mike's shoulders dropped, the facade of bravado dissipating. It started with investment opportunities, and then I got involved with them. He looked at Laura, his eyes pleading. It was just supposed to be business, but it got twisted. I thought I could handle it. I didn't realize how deep the rabbit hole was. And now you've dragged me and others into a web of deceit? Laura took a step back, feeling cold dread washing over her. How many lives are connected to this? Hundreds, he finally admitted, the weight of the word hanging between them. And that's what Ashley was trying to explain. It's not just a fling. It's real. I was trying to save everything from crashing down, but the lies just multiplied. Laura staggered, reeling from his confession. The sense of betrayal felt all-consuming. It clawed at her, mixing anger with pity. How could love become so tangled in greed and betrayal? Your truth, Laura said, her voice cracking, means nothing without accountability. If you care about protecting me at all, you need to come clean not just to me, but to everyone you've hurt. The silence from Mike hung heavy in the air, thick and pregnant with uncertainty. He opened his mouth to respond, but the words stalled. Caught in the web he dewoven, its tension resumed its grip. Ashley leaned in closer, her voice a whisper of camaraderie. You have the power now, Laura, to decide what happens next, to hold him accountable. With the stakes so high, Laura held her breath, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on her. What would it mean to confront a reality so grim, yet so necessary? But then, a buzz of a phone vibrated fiercely against the table. The world outside kept turning, oblivious, to their personal drama. Seconds stretched into an eternity as they all looked at the phone. Who is that? Laura asked, fear creeping back in. Mike glanced at her, his face pale. It's my business partner. I can't answer now. But you have to, Ashley insisted, urgency laden in her tone. You can't keep running away. Not from the truth or from them. As the phone continued to buzz, Laura felt a terrible tightening in her chest. Would that call change everything? Would it lead to more chaos or a chance for redemption? And for the first time she truly understood. The truth was just the beginning. What would happen when the call was answered? The moment felt savage, as the phone's vibrations throbbed through the tension in the cafe. Laura's heart raced faster. The reality was dawning. This was a question of consequences, not just for Mike but for everyone caught in his web of lies. She had stood at the precipice of truth for so long, but now, she sensed it was coming closer. Answer it, Mike. This isn't just about you anymore, Laura urged, her voice steady, holding the weight of every emotion coursing through her. But Mike hesitated, the panic reflecting in his eyes. He bit his lip. What if it's just more trouble? They don't care about you. They want me to answer for everything. Ashley's voice cut through the chaos. It's time to stop running. You face this together or it will swallow you whole. You need to show Laura you mean what you say. With a sharp breath, Laura felt a spark of strength ignite within her. Don't you see? I'm done living in your shadow, Mike. Whatever happens next is our responsibility together. We can make it through, but only if you start being honest. Finally, with an agonized look sweeping across his face, Mike swiped at the phone, answering it reluctantly. His voice wavered, cracking under the pressure. Hello? Everything else faded away. The cafe, the dim lighting, the curious gazes of onlookers. All that remained was the man whose decisions tethered her life. For a moment, all she could hear was muffled sounds from the other end, his partner's voice laced with urgency. Yes, I know, he finally replied, collapsing into his seat. I understand, I'll come by right away. What's happening? Laura asked, her heart pounding louder than ever. He hung up the phone, his features drained. They found out about the deal going south. They want me to go to the office now tonight. Ashley cocked her head, eyes sharp. Wait, is that what you've been running from? You've put your life at risk chasing after a deal that endangers so many? I thought I could manage it. I believed I could control it and keep everyone, especially you, safe, Mike exclaimed, desperation leaking from his voice. Safe? Laura couldn't help but laugh bitterly. By lying? By hiding? Maybe the only person you've kept safe is yourself. He looked around the cafe, gauging the whispers erupting among the patrons. She could almost see the gears turning in his mind, concocting a familiar formula of excuses. But she wouldn't let him cover her in shadows anymore. This ends now. The tension in the cafe shifted. Every eye felt like they were trained on them, waiting in silence for something to crack. Laura turned to Jake, his steady gaze giving her strength. What do you think I should do? She asked, the words spilling out almost timidly. Laura, he said, tender but firm, you already know the truth. You need to decide if you're going to stay caught in this cycle of lies or break free. She breathed deep and nodded, a wave of clarity washing over her. Mike, I need you to step up. Tell your partner the truth. Cut ties with this deceit, or it will consume you and everyone around you. He looked at her, and in that moment, she saw a flicker of realization. Was there remorse nestling within his chest? And what if they turn it around on me? He whispered. Then you face the music, she replied, voice steady. But it's time you realize running isn't an option anymore. Not for me, not for us. Tension hung in the air thickly, and very slowly, Mike nodded, tentative yet willing. I can't remember the last time I've faced anything with honesty. Just then, the atmosphere lightened as Ashley spoke softly. It might be scary, but it can be freeing. Vulnerability can make you stronger. Outside, the sun began to dip lower, painting the sky in oranges and purples. Laura felt like the daylight breaking free from the shadows enveloping her life. I want you to come with me, Laura, Mike said finally, voice catching. If things go wrong, I don't want you to know. She interrupted, fierceness rising in her tone. You're responsible for this. I deserve to stand on my own. This is your reckoning. That was it. She turned to the door, glancing out at the fading light of day. You have one chance, Mike. You can choose to fight. Otherwise, I'm taking my life back. The storm inside them had settled into an uneasy calm, yet Laura felt a spark of hope flickering to life. Whatever storms lay ahead, she would weather them stronger, braver, and finally in control of her destiny. With a steely resolve, she marched toward the door, feet moving forward, ready to reclaim her path, leaving behind the burdens of dishonesty and betrayal. Let us do this, she whispered, holding her head high. Together we can find our way back. And as she stepped into the warm dusk, her heart opened to new beginnings, knowing reflection was on her side now, not just for herself, but for everyone entangled in the chaos. And in that moment, at the edge of her new journey, Hope began to feel like a flame igniting her soul. Now, I need you to take action, my friends. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss these exclusive stories. You need to show your support. Leave a like now to help feed this algorithm. It makes a difference. And don't forget to comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this ending. I'm dying to know what you think. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Let us spread the power of resilience together.